Welcome back to Cyber Voices, the official podcast of the Australian Information Security Association, also known as AISA. I am your host, David Savva-Willett, and it is my pleasure to bring you the diverse voices of the Australian cyber community. I am at Canberra CyberConnect 2026, AISA's brand new event in the nation's capital. And joining me now is Grant McKechnie. Grant is a managing partner at Cyber Resilience Group and a CISO with 2 decades behind him at Endeavour Group, Telstra and NBN. He was named one of the top 10 CISOs in Asia Pacific in 2022 and has built greenfield cybersecurity functions across some of Australia's most critical infrastructure. Today at CyberConnect, Grant has returned with Breachonomics Redux, going deeper into the data behind breaches and the untold impacts that headlines tend to miss. If you have a CFO or a board member in your life, this could be a great one to forward on to them. If this conversation resonates with you, make sure you subscribe to Cyber Voices on your podcast app of choice and give us a 5-star rating. It does help others find the show. But without further ado, I would like to welcome Grant to the show. It's great to have you.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me.
So, you've arrived at Canberra CyberConnect. How have you found the morning so far?
It's been really good. It's like a small CyberCon. All the local people, some people have travelled away to come in, so I think it's pretty good.
Now, you're bringing to us a very interesting talk, and I believe this is a bit of an evolution of talks that you've been giving over time. Breachonomics Redux suggests that this is a sequel to a story that you've been telling for a while. What did the original Breachonomics get right, and what has shifted in the data that has made you want to come back and do the follow-up?
It's a bit of a passion project for me. I started in the world of trading and shares sort of thing, building trading systems. So I got an understanding of, by spending a bunch of time with traders, understanding that share trading is an emotional game. Mm-hmm. And the results, the impact of breaches is about people. And then one day I put those two things together and coined the phrase Breachonomics. It's a little bit about the unspoken impacts of a breach. We see the bigger impacts. We see the media reports, rarely accurate, I might add as well. But what Breachonomics is about is the untold impacts. It's the people impact, it's the company impact, it's the long tail of a data breach. So I've been researching this for about 3 or 4 years now, presented it a number of times at different conferences and things, but this is the Redux. This is what have I learned? What I've learned is it's getting worse. The impact on a share price is less every day. So if we look at Medibank as a really good example, as I think probably one of the bigger breaches of an Australian publicly listed company, took them 198 days to come back to parity. So that is what I call parity, once again defined by me, is the share price 7 days before the breach. So you've got no possible leakage, no things. So that's kind of like a bit of a hygiene exercise as opposed to using the day before. 198 days before the share price recovers, I think they went down 29% over time and it's slowly built back up. So that was what I would consider probably a fair penalty in the trading world. Jump forward, Live Nation, 560 million records, global impact, 1 day. And the share price has only gone up. In fact, I think in the redoing of the maths for this, I think they're 85% up since their breach in a share value. So there's a number of indications now that investors and boards are caring a little less about breaches.
What do you think is driving that?
So a couple of things. One is I think the general public is becoming blasé about breaches.
Yeah.
Another breach, it's BAU. It's, it's going to happen. I don't think as an industry we've helped that.
Mm-hmm.
No, you look at a lot of our marketing. You look at, my company's marketing. It's not if you get breached, it's when you get breached. So why is that big news when you do? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think, and point of contention, I don't think Australia's penalties match the breach sort of thing. And I talk in depth about the fact that if Medibank, as an example, and this is all public information, there's no secret squirrel here, if they would apply the legislation accurately against it, it's a $21 billion fine or $1 trillion fine, some ridiculous number. So that's never going to happen. And it always gets watered down, and it gets watered down too far, in my opinion, sort of thing. Once again, my opinion. And the last but not least is we're seeing such investment these days in cyber across so many companies. People don't want to say they got it wrong. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, they carry on like nothing's happened here, nothing to see here. What's tomorrow?
some of the big profile breaches that have happened in this country over the last couple of years, everyone was always very, very interested originally. It was all over news and radio. But, when those breaches happened, they were massive in the media cycle. But their impact in the media cycle has gotten less and less. I think of the Canvas LMS breach that happened just recently, which was massive globally.
Yeah.
Impacted 9,000 institutions, students unable to log in. I saw maybe a blip about it on the ABC News website, right? Your Channel 7s and your Channel 9s, they're not picking up on it anymore because it's just not that interesting to them.
It got me thinking, that breach in particular, because what I noticed in the news cycle is it was no longer about the breach. It was about fee-paying parents not being able to send their kids to school.
Yes, there you go.
Right? It was not, this was breached by, and I don't know the technical details of the breach, but, this was breached by X ransomware group, blah, blah. That wasn't even mentioned. It was fee-paying students can't access a thing. What are the impacts of this? Well, that sounds like the next version of the talk sort of thing. But for me, that was new. I hadn't seen that before.
I want to jump back in then to these untold impacts of a breach. You mentioned earlier on that boards, their risk tolerances have kind of normalized a little bit because they were definitely quite heightened there for a while. When you sit down with boards and walk them through the numbers, which impacts are still landing the hardest and which ones are still consistently being underestimated?
So my approach has changed over the last couple of years, and it used to be share price. You're going to lose this. I can quantifiably say to you, you will lose 15, 20% of your share price. You'll recover it in 6 months to there. You've got dividend issues and all sorts of things. Now it's trust. For me, in a world where brand and trust has become paramount, I tend to take that approach. I look at their social media plays a huge part these days in breach management. I've got clients where I've worked on breaches with them as a breach coach, guiding them through the process. And my focus has changed. I have the comms guy and the legal person at the table now quicker than quite often I have the CIO. So, now it's about communication, it's about brand, it's about trust. It takes a long time for a company to build trust with its customers or its clients. It takes one bad post to erode it because society's become more fickle. Hence why I think they care less about the actual breach in the first place.
Hey, sorry to interrupt the interview. I know you're loving it, but a quick word before I let you get back to it. I just want to let you know that every year, AISA's events bring together the people shaping cybersecurity across Australia, the practitioners, leaders, and decision makers your organisation wants to be in front of. We offer a range of exhibition and branding opportunities to reach them across our Sec Day conferences nationwide and, of course, at CyberCon, our flagship event held each October. CyberCon is one of the country's largest cybersecurity gatherings, bringing together over 5,000 attendees, 400 expert speakers, and 150 exhibitors all under the one roof, making it the premier platform to showcase your organisation and connect with industry leaders. To explore a partnership, get in touch with our national events and sponsorship manager, Susanna Palermo, at sponsorship@aisa.org.au. And if you would like to reach this same audience every week, sponsorship opportunities for the podcast you're listening to are also available. Anyway, let's get back on with the show. It's been interesting to see how that trust can be rebuilt over time as well. How do you think this is fueling ongoing cyber attacks and cyber crisis? Because you said at the beginning of this interview, it's getting worse. So is it getting worse in the sense that the attacks are getting worse and that the public is caring less?
I think the ambivalence is getting worse.
The ambivalence is getting worse. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
The actors have changed their approach in a number of ways. And I was giving a briefing to a client that was compromised, and I went and spoke to someone I trust around how should I approach it sort of thing. And he goes, well, there's the third. It used to be just steal your data and sell your data. Now they'll call the regulators on you. People were burying breaches. It was happening. They were paying, so they weren't going to move forward, in a hypothetical sense. And now the actors have realized, well, actually, we'll notify OAIC on your behalf. You can deal with that sort of thing. And So the actors are adapting. The rate of attack is insane at the moment, but they're also more public. So people have become immune to the surprise.
There's a big tension between sharing data breaches openly and the legal and reputational risk of doing so. As a former CISO yourself, where do you think the industry sits at the moment?
I think we used to be better at it. I remember in the days that ASD, or I think it was DSD then, used to run the National Information Exchange, and we'd get together every 2 months and we would talk openly and transparently 100% without fear of anyone talking outside of school. We're using it for competitive advantage. And we would share. And we would share IOCs and we would share IOAs, and we would walk people through attacks. We would redact but distribute our PIRs. What didn't we do well? What did we do right? I had a conversation with an old colleague that I bumped into in the halls today. And we're actually reminiscing a little bit about how much easier it used to be to share this information. I welcome the lawyers coming into the cyber world. I think that's been one of the best leaps forward in a long, long time, because I don't think we actually understood the risk that we were operating at. But since that has happened, you've seen a slight recluseness come into the sharing processes. Around, you've still got, private conversations, and I'm still a member of a number of WhatsApp groups where we're reasonably transparent. But I don't think we share the bits that we should. It's great to share the IOCs. It's great there. But what did you get wrong? Am I doing that? Sort of thing. So it's really interesting to sit there. Sharing a timeline of events, really, really critical to go back. If I get the timeline of an event, I would have gone to my analysts or my engineers going, hey, would this impact us? So I think it's getting worse on one hand. The other hand is I've never seen an industry that shares more. I just don't think we're sharing the right things.
There's probably more opportunity for how we expand that sharing and collaboration across industries, across sectors. And you've built a lot of cyber functions from a blank page in your time at a lot of big Australian companies. And there are still a lot of organizations out there that have not built a cyber function. They haven't had someone heading up cybersecurity, and maybe they've found themselves under the SOCI Act and realized they need to now, or something like that. If you were in that position and you were starting again tomorrow, knowing what you know, what is the first dollar going to be spent on?
A risk analyst.
There you go. That's a pretty simple answer. Why is that?
I love risk. It's my happy place. Ironically, because I come from a technical background, and quite often those two areas didn't quite gel historically. But for me, you've got to know what's wrong before you can fix it. Before you can have a strategy, you've got to understand the problem. Don't come at me with a solution and shoehorn a problem into it, sort of thing. So a risk analyst is usually the first person I hire. The second person I hire is an architect. Let's make all this stuff talk together in a more secure manner, because quite often you've got the capability, it's just not turned on. And last but not least, an awareness person. Well, not last, the next one in the list of those critical hires is an awareness person or an awareness third party or such. The ability for your people to spot threats and respond to them before your SOC or you can. People is the front line. It's old logic, right? I'm a dinosaur. I get that. But this is the right way to do it. It's like trust your people, trust your users. They know what's different. They know what's anomalous. And don't rouse on them and I've seen people get roused on, oh, you reported this. It's of course this is real. Well, you know what, that one there, but the next three they might send might be malicious. So that's probably where I'd start. The other thing I do is I get a sponsor on the board. So I got taught this by the great mind of Baron Lautenbach. He said to me once, he goes, it's pointless turning up to a board meeting, Grant, if you don't have someone on your side. And quite often, we do tend to convey bad information, bad news at board meetings. So when I got my first big CSO gig, first thing I did was hunted out a friendly board member and become her cyber guy. And whenever I was in a tight situation on the board, I had somebody that understood what I was trying to do, how I was trying to do it. And they can act as an advocate when you're not in the room. I think one of the things that and it's a bit of a tangent, one of the things that we don't do well is train up-and-coming CISOs how to interact with the board. The first time I fronted the board, it was a full ASX top 10 board, and I'd never been in a boardroom before.
Yeah.
It was scary.
It's terrifying. It's still terrifying, and I've been doing it for years.
Now I consult boards. It's kind of different. They're asking my opinion. I'm in the room for the whole time. And I look back at young Grant rocking up to that first board. Oh my God, that poor kid.
Yeah. And you can never predict it. I think that's the hardest thing to get your head around, is that you need to go in with a very open mind about what is going to get their attention. You don't know what their day has been like for the hours that they've been in meetings before you've arrived and what they've got to deal with to come after. And that, they read and consume those papers ravenously because that is their job and their responsibility. But the thing you think is going to resonate is not always going to resonate. So I guess, for the CISO who's listening and has a board paper due next week, what's the one thing that they can't afford to be leaving out in their board packs or their risk and audit packs these days when it comes to data, when it comes to breaches, when it just comes to the conversations they need to be having?
I think we need to be careful in separating ARC packs to general board packs. Most CISOs only get in front of the actual board once a year. They front up to the ARC quarterly every 6 months.
Correct, yeah.
And the ARC is a subset of the board, and a lot of people don't realise that. So for me, if I'm going to the ARC, I'll quite often put $1 to fix something on something. So you need MFA on this thing, it's going to cost you $300,000, the ROI on the threat that it would stop based on here, and give it to them in business terms. Don't make it silent. Make it to them in business terms. ROIs are more easy to calculate these days because we've got such great data on the attack types and the success of those attack types. Then when I go to the board, I talk more about the story, their obligations, how I'm helping them meet their obligations. And I always put the achievements up because it might be 3 achievements in the 6 months. And it's always hard to whittle it down, right? Because cyber teams run at such a high pace. But for me, it's really, really important that they see that, hey, we got MFA here, or we blocked this, or we did that. And the reason we do that is it builds confidence that you're doing good things, and they see it. You don't always bring that proverbial poo sandwich, as it was described in the keynotes talk this morning. They don't always, get bad news. You're saying, hey, we're actually doing good things, and my team's happy. And for me, that's a really important 2 things. So I kind of hijacked your question.
No, and it's a perfect answer. I think there's a lot to take away from that. So listeners, Grant does take this talk here, there, and everywhere, and it does evolve with the more that he learns. So you can certainly gain some more insights by keeping an eye out for where Grant is, where he's speaking next, because it is going to be fascinating to listen to and hear his full insights at his next conference talk. I am going to let him get back out onto the CyberConnect floor and enjoy himself. Grant, thank you so much for sharing your voice with us today.
Thank you, David. Once again, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cyber Voices. Our music is by Endeavour Group, our show artwork is by Studio Quarantine, and we record our show at This Is a Studio in Pran, Melbourne, part of Popplant Productions. Please make sure you follow the show on your podcast platform of choice and leave us a 5-star review. This will help others find the show. Also, please follow the association on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you want to add your voice to our ever-growing chorus of diverse cyber voices, have questions, feedback, or would like to be a sponsor, you can do so by emailing us at cybervoices@aisa.org.au. That's cybervoices@aisa.org.au. Are you an AISA member? If not, you should consider joining our network of over 12,000 members across Australia. An AISA membership can open doors, build professional networks, create lifetime friendships, and offer exclusive training, events, and other perks. Become a member today by heading to our website at aisa.org.au. That is all for today. I hope you will join us again next time on Cyber Voices.